Hello everyone, I'm Shila Tazeen and I am an A-level media student. Today I will be sharing my creative critical reflection and answering 4 different questions. My first question is, how does your product use or challenge conventions and how does it represent social groups or issues? The topic of our magazine is domestic violence, since it's a very serious issue that a lot of people around the globe goes through. But it is often overlooked or misunderstood. The reason why we wanted to use this topic is because many victims are afraid to speak out due to shame, fear, and societal judgment. Another reason why we wanted to do this topic is to break the stigma, like a woman is expected to stay silent if she is a victim of domestic abuse to save her marriage, which is insane. And whenever we think about domestic violence, the immediate image that goes to our mind is a woman getting beaten up or the mental abuse that a woman goes through. Well, the thing that goes unnoticed is the male victims. There are a lot of male victims, but guess what? They're expected to stay silent because they are a man and they should act like one. These are one of the reasons why we wanted to use this topic. Since the topic was domestic violence, the codes and conventions that were set up were to have a very dark aesthetic to showcase the seriousness of the topic, and we needed to capture it in such a way that showcases the loneliness a victim feels. For that, we needed a room where the paint was ruined and the lighting. The first of all, the lighting. We needed really good sunlight, natural lighting. Like, we did not want artificial lighting. We needed the natural lighting, and we also needed the props. And for the props, we used things like bandages and other things like ways and some toys. And the thing about toys, why I selected them accordingly, was we needed a torn out toy which was dirty, torn out toy to showcase a victim. The toy itself is showcasing the victim. As we can see, it is torn out, it is dirty. It's how a victim feels about themselves, because they have bruises and the things they're going through. And we also used ways and a belt for it to show what mostly a victim gets hit by. And like for the costume, I asked the models to wear shalwar kameez, female models to wear shalwar kameez, since the main idea in my head was to showcase the domestic violence in Pakistan. However, I did ask one male model to wear black shalwar kameez to match the aesthetic, but I also asked the other two male models to wear anything to have more variety. So that is why I asked them. We had a lot of problems while casting, since we asked 6 of our friends to shoot for us, and 2 of them, the most important ones, the main ones, had to drop out due to some personal issues. And like, honestly, at that point, I thought that this is gonna be the downfall of our magazine, but it was not. I called another one of my friend. I asked her if she could model for us, and she was like, "Yeah, sure, I can." And then she did an amazing job. As you can see, she did an amazing job. She has the face for it. She is the model for it. And honestly, I was impressed, and no one could have done this job better than her. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't select her at first. And for the location, we decided to do it at a friend's house, Mariam. She's actually part of the group, the media group, of consisting of me, Mahnoor, and Mariam. So we decided to do shoot at her house, since her house has got the aesthetics for it, and we did not get any problems with the permission. We did not have any problems with that. And as you can see, the photography went really well. It went really well. Even the images that we did not select for the photo shoot turned out really good. Like the images we selected, not for the magazine, I'm sorry. they turned out really good. And we started the shoot at 10 a.m. because we desperately needed sunlight. We first of all, we did not have any equipment for the artificial lighting, and we also needed sunlight for the aesthetic and all. These are the inspiration for our magazine. The layout of this magazine is done in such a way to match the aesthetic. Like, the cover page is made in a very traditional style, including the masthead of lifelines. Main cover image, that was actually not the original cover photo that I had in mind. This is the original photo that I wanted to use but ended up using this one since I like this more. I did, however, make a practice magazine page like this, but it did not get the vibe from it. The cover lines that I chose were according to the topic, and last up I added the barcode like any other magazine would have. The fonts used were classy since it's a serious topic. I did not want to ruin the font since, according to me, it is one of the most important things in a magazine. The content page included the title, the number of page. I did add three pictures to make it more appealing. In the editor's note, I added a picture of myself and explained the magazine. In the single page article, I added a title and made two columns, one explaining domestic abuse and the other was the storytelling column, and I added two images to that page. I made a design page showing the bruises of the model. For my double page article, I wrote the title and added three images and made it look very appealing. Plus, I added a paragraph explaining that men are victims too. For the graphic designing, I decided to go with a very gloomy and dark theme since I'm showcasing a serious topic. As you can see, I have mostly used the color shades of black and blue. The fonts that I have kept are very classy and are serif fonts. The color grading is done in such a way that my picture gives off the vibe of the gloomy, depressed, and serious domestic violence. I have also added little squares so that my page does not look empty and boring. I also added the hair of my model since she had purple hair and it did not fit with the aesthetic. My next question is, how does your product engage with audience and how would it be distributed as a real media text? We wanted to include the audience as much as we could since we wanted a vast idea of what we were doing and how we were supposed to make our magazine more appealing for the audience. That's why we made a questionnaire and sent it in a group chat of people with various ages starting from 13 to 40 or 50 or even above. First, these are some of the questions that we asked in the questionnaire, and the topic that got the most votes was the topic of domestic violence. That's also one of the reason why we chose this topic, because people wanted to see a magazine on domestic violence. Well, honestly, we made this magazine for people of all ages, but I would specifically recommend young people to read this magazine since, like, they are new to it all and they do not have a knowledge of a healthy versus unhealthy relationship dynamics, and they get easily influenced by the social media. That is why I wanted to spread awareness among the young people. After making this magazine, I sent it to a lot of my friends and they gave really good reviews to it. Here are some of their reactions. I asked them to make a video and here are some of their reactions.
Hello everyone, I'm Ayan Khan and I just saw Shaz's magazine and oh my god, it is an absolute masterpiece. I don't know how she pulled this one out, but she literally snapped. From the visuals to the writing to the layout, everything is so perfect. She worked so hard on it. I'm not even glazing, it's genuinely impressive how this magazine turned out. Shaz, I'm obsessed.
I also asked my family members to give responses since I needed a variety of different ages, and I got really good reviews from them as well. So overall, I was very satisfied with my product because of the audience reviews. That is why I think audience interaction is very important for making a media project. I also did some research on hypodermic needle theory, which tells us how much control and impact media has over the audience. My next question is, how did your production skills develop throughout this project? Well, when I first started media studies, I was a bit confused on what should I do, how does it work, how does Cambridge grade us and all, but all those confusions were cleared by our sirs, Sir Umar Jalani. And for the magazine, at first, obviously, I was confused, but the whole making magazine process, it's a whole procedure. First, I started off with doing some research on magazines, different kinds of magazines, and how the main cover page is made, how do you attract the audience, what's the how the fonts are used, everything you need to learn to make a magazine. Second thing I did was make a rough sketch of it. First, I did not start with the Photoshop. I made a rough sketch of a magazine that I wanted to create to get a clear view of what I wanted to create. Then I took some pictures from the internet, like from Google, and then I made a magazine cover page and magazine content pages, magazine articles to practice my editing skills on Photoshop and get a clear view of how I make a magazine. Before our final magazine, we got the assignment to make a practice magazine, which was very different from the final magazine because it was a solo project, it was not a group project, and it was very helpful to me because I learned a lot in it. I learned how to do photography real good because my photography skills got improved so much after the practice magazine. I learned editing, how to create a real world magazine, and location scouting, choosing the topic, and taking interviews for my article, and much more. It helped me get a clear view of what I need to do and what are my mistakes that I need to work on for my final magazine. And the topic for my practice magazine was transphobia. Here's cover page of my magazine, and if you want to see the whole magazine, you can click on the preliminary task, it's over there. Then here comes the final project, the final coursework. The topic, as you know, is domestic violence, and after all that, my practice got really better. I actually got a bit skilled. I'm not trying to compliment myself, but I got really skilled, and I think I did an amazing job. But making the final magazine was very different from making the practice magazine because it was in a group, and when you're in a group, you should learn how to compromise, you should learn a lot of things. That is why it was a bit hard for me at first because I was not used to the group work, but I also needed to learn how to do group work because in media, in the media industry, group work is very important. That is why, and I did learn how to do group work, and I think with by making a few compromises and all, you can easily work in a group, and it was really actually fun working in a group, and I was very satisfied with the final result. I think it is a very good uh, result in my opinion. Me personally, I started graphic designing when I was 13, and when I was 14, I had a TikTok account on which I posted random videos of me making graphic designs because I personally love making graphic designs and I love doing all the work on Photoshop, and I love exploring Adobe apps a lot. So by the time I was 15, I stopped posting and deleted that account of mine. You can see the video though. I deleted that account of mine due to some personal reasons, and then I totally stopped using Photoshop and all because I got busy with my O level exams. But when I entered A levels, when I got into A levels, I knew that I need to pick media as a subject because I was still very much passionate for it and want to further use it, like make a career out of it. uh it all start If I go really back in time, I remember that I used to play with uh Microsoft Paint, and then after some time I started exploring Photoshop and got totally obsessed with it. And my photography my photography, I was very passionate about photography as well. I started photography from my mama's phone. I did not have phone at that time. I started with on my mom's phone, and then my dad got a DSLR for himself, but I took it. So then I started photographing random things, and when I got to the media class in A levels, then I learned a lot about the angles and how uh, you capture emotions. And making this project honestly taught me a lot as well, because it taught me how to play with the lightings and use the lightings efficiently, and how do you capture emotions in an angle. And the fonts that I used were very classy as well. And I learned a lot about fonts. Like, I studied a lot about fonts because honestly, as I mentioned before, fonts are, I personally think they are very important, and it really tells you how it shows a magazine, in my opinion. The next question is, how did you integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project? Technology helped me a lot with this project. I did a whole lot of research, from Googling about domestic violence to looking for inspirations, looked for a lot of different ideas from the internet, and used many different applications. Since I was using Photoshop after a long time, I forgot many of its properties. So I searched on YouTube for tutorials, like, for example, when I wanted to change the model's hair, I watched a YouTube video for it. I started learning photography from my mobile phone and eventually upgraded to DSLR. This project made me realize that how much I enjoy studying and working on media, and I got to bring out a lot of my hidden talents in this project, and I got to know my potential. So I learned a lot from this project.